Hello and good evening. I'm Jamal Sandiford, and this video is a Spirit of a Nation video. This video is a video of me showing you, the people of Barbados, how we can do conkies, because conkies is part of our nation. This month is November, our month of independence, and that's why it's called the Spirit of the Nation. So today I'm going to be showing you how a young person learn how to make conkies the way Grand taught me. Now I'm going to start off with the coconut. And coconut is something very tricky. A lot of people doesn't really know how to tackle coconut, especially young people. You just probably see it in the supermarket. But here's how I would tackle it. Get a small paring knife, press your finger to the knife like this, and then we insert till our finger just about touches the coconut. Then we rock the coconut around steady and steady, and this way you have very good adequate control to get down with all those crevices. And you don't have to be like me and do it perfect and go all the way around to be just to the coat, some in between. But for me, I try to be as close to perfect as possible in everything I do. So yeah, we're going to be just about there, and here's the reveal of it. Oh no, it isn't so perfect after all, is it? All right, guys. So, as you can see, not so perfect, but there we go. Pretty clean if you ask me. Let's do a lot better on the second one. All right? But coconut is one of the most important ingredients because it adds to the critical flavor that we know conky to be. That signature flavor. So, it helps with sweetness and flavor. Another thing that helps with sweetness and flavor is also the sweet potato. Hence, as you say, is in the name, sweet potato. And these are made because back in the day, if you know anything about culture and our history, we had very limited ingredients to work with. And so we had to take what we could find around the place and make good use of it. So everything here, everything you see here will be indigenous. Things that could be found in the Caribbean without being imported. Right. We're going to be getting into the start of the show, the pumpkin. Now, typically when I look for a pumpkin, I like one that's fresh, that's homegrown. And just look at this. This color is so nice. There's some that are a lot paler, and you'll find that strain mostly overseas. But I love this nice green looking pumpkin. And let me look at the flesh. This is so nice and rich and vibrant and good looking, like the maker. So we're going to get into peeling the pumpkin. And a lot of people probably may go for a bigger knife, but I like a paring knife because this one is pretty sharp, as you can see. And it gets the job done. To me, it's a bit more manageable. Sure, it could take a longer time, but I prefer a paring knife when peeling my pumpkin. Now, when you want to cut your pumpkin, don't go for a paring knife. Get something big and strong that you could apply some pressure on, However, for the purpose at hand, this works nicely. Now, what pumpkin does in this recipe is pumpkin adds flavor, color, and texture to this dish. If you know anything about grating, this is the size you want for the nutmeg. This is the size that we want, right? So this is going to help us get a texture that is nice and even, but it's not like puree. It's almost like puree, but it's just a cut above puree. So what we're doing now is getting straight into it. Box straight down, box really straight down, and just go for it. This is where you build those muscles, and if you're a moral person, this is where you also build character. Grinding against the rough box grater, and that's why we're getting this almost paste-like texture from the pumpkin. Now, the reason why this is so important is if you take a look inside the bottom of this, you will see that there's a lot of liquid. And as what people like to call it, pumpkin spring water. It means that as it grated, you just fly everywhere and it seep out. So the reason why we don't want it into a paste is because if you have to grate it too fine, it will be all liquid in a puree form. But this is what we're looking for, this texture. this mass that I could put it into my hand, it takes shape. See? So that's what we're going for. We're also going for a similar texture with this sweet potato, and that's what we're going to be grating on that same very hole. What I like about this is that this really have consistency in the texture, and that's what helps makes the nice body that we'll be going for. Now this is the part where you really have a test of character. A lot of people go stop and stop and stop, but no, I ain't going through. You end up with something like this, you know, something that is similar in texture to the pumpkin, and also when you look at it, because of the starch content, it's going to help bring this pumpkin together. So you see what's going on already? Yeah. All right. So the ratio the pumpkin is pretty close, or sweet potatoes and pumpkin is pretty close. However, you have to make sure that the coconut, I would say cucumber, still gets a shine. What the coconut does is it adds sweetness, as I said before, but it's also a texture that really helps bind the conky, and the conky will not be the same for coconut. It's like trying to make sweet potato pone or cassava pone before coconut. It just will not be the same. You know, so you need that. This is a must-have ingredient apart from the coconut, apart from the pumpkin, it would be coconut. Now, because the coconut is rough like Barbados life right now, and the grater is even rougher, right? We're gonna get a texture now that is a little bit more coarse than our previous two purees, our version of puree, what they call a paste. So what's gonna happen here is if you look at the coconut, you can see there's almost individual granules, right? And this is what's gonna help bind. Apart from sweetening, it's gonna help bind the paste together. And pro tip, for when you get a very small grater in the coconut, I learned years ago how to get my fingers grated off. I had years of that, and I learned something. Simple tip: as slow you get, close to the bottom you get slower and slower and slower. I'm going to give you an example here of this, right? See, pretty small. If you go fast, you could easily grate off the tips of your fingers or your knuckles. What you do? You get slower and slower and slower as you realize, and you even start to move your fingers a little bit as you realize, hey, my fingers actually started to touch the top of this, yeah, right? And then eventually, you will know you have had enough. See? By this time, we're going to be incorporating our cornmeal into the mix. And what cornmeal is going to do is going to help bind everything together. It's going to add another layer of texture as well. And for me, it gives you that almost nutty-like taste. And as you can see, as we start to mix, what looks like a mess is going to become one in holy matrimony. So the next thing we're going to incorporate here is our subtle flavors. And for me, as you can see, I'm a hands-on man. I have to get my hands in the stuff, get things going in the right direction, you know. The next thing we're going to incorporate is our sugar and our flavors like nutmeg and allspice and ground spice. And can't forget salt. That's the secret ingredient, salt. And some people will take the time to go and add some essence in here. Really, for me, it's not necessary, right? But you could always add some vanilla essence if you're feeling, you know, spicy. You could add some nuttiness with some almond essence. But as you can see now, oh, look at this. It is starting to look familiar. If it's not, then you don't make conkies. But you will learn to do that soon. It is at this time we add the last spice. And it's my favorite, nutmeg. Freshly zested, well, grated on the zester. We call it microplane. And that adds the last kiss of spice to me. So here's where I add that last tad. Now, because life is not perfect, and because I'm not using a measured recipe, sometimes you have a bit of too much of something or too little of something. If you know what to look for, you'll be all right. If it's too wet, you may want to add in a little bit more cornmeal. If it's not sweet enough, you add in a bit more sugar. If it's not spicy enough, you go for your favorite spice and you add it in. If I indent it, you see, you don't see the bottom. Unless you go right down, and even then you still don't see the bottom, that's when you have a good texture. So if you can't do that spoon test, start over. Kidding. You can go back to the drawing board in terms of finding out exactly what you should add. As I said, if it's too wet, you could add some cornmeal. If it's too dry and it looks like it wants moisture, you can add some butter, or some more pumpkin. But the ancestors will guide you, as they have guided me. This is the part where I use my chef expertise, and I'm going to swinge the leaf. Now, swinging the leaf is pretty important. You can't go too long on the leaf, or you can't be too short. Your aim is to get a nice deep green that has elasticity, and also not too burnt. That's the most important thing, not to burn it. So we put it on. As you can see, the color is changing to a nice deep green. I just want to make sure to take the time to show you. All right, you can see the contrast. Here's the part that's been heated. Oh, it's pretty hot. Here's the part that's been heated. Here's the part that's not been heated. Right? So, can you see the difference? I don't know. Maybe you'll see it in post. But that's it. That's what you're looking for. You're looking for a nice deep green. And it almost like makes these lines a lot less pronounced. So you're going to probably be able to see it now. Ready to go again? All right, watch the leaf. See? Changing, changing. It's changing. All right? And then we'll go on to the other one. So, see? Fresh leaf, onto flame. And as you can see, it begins to change. If you leave it in one spot too long, it will burn. As you can see, it starts to shift from a light green to a very deep green. Very, very deep green. And more vibrant green, actually. And if you're not careful, just like what I did here, you're going to see the indentations. That's why nothing's perfect. No one's perfect. But this is a good leaf. Just need to finish out these parts that are still pretty pronounced to make them more like this, and we'll be perfect. Okay? You're wondering, how is she so knowledgeable about dealing with conkies? It's because, well, I learned to start cooking in the kitchen at about 8 years old from grand. And mommy kept it going from on to technically no. At 17 years old, I represented Barbados through the Barbados Vocational Training Board in a World Skills Barbados competition, where I placed second to Shea White. And that is how I know so much about dealing with this. I was in the kitchen early learning. When grandma was making jam and making conkies, I was the person up to 4 o'clock in the morning helping grand. So, it goes on. And, I learned that each one teach one. So that is why I'm here today doing the Spirit of the Nation video, passing on this knowledge and these traits on to the next generation. So listen and learn well. All right. We get into the assembly, all right? But before we could just, make our conkies, we need to make sure that we have a base for our conkies. And that's where these parts comes in. Jamaicans have a term, nothing now waste, nothing now dash way. And we implement it in this case. We come up from this cultural aspect, we do not like to waste anything. So the same stem from the banana tree, we're going to be using and placing into the pot to help form a bed of sorts. This one's probably a little light, but it's going to help us. It's going to be a firm block. So it's going to give it a nice base. So again, one more. And I'm going to give it a nice little pat. And what this is going to do is going to ensure that our conkies don't seep into the water, and that the steam, as the water heats, rises up and cooks the conkies. Because what happens in the old time days, or what happened in the old time days, was that you would have a wooden fire on the ground, and the pot would be there and be open, and the smoke would come from the wood, and some would lightly kiss and give a slight smoky flavor to the conkies. I'm going to show you how you wrap your conkies. Now, typically, take up a spoon, you put on, take up another spoon, you put on, and for this amount, you have to average. So make sure to have an even amount of leaf on either side. Now, what the average person does is to try to go full, and then they go. That is where you go wrong. What you're supposed to do, or what Grand taught me, was to come here, and when you get the two at the top, you fold it over like that, and then you fold and you fold, so you get it almost like this. You can leave it like that, almost like that. Comes in the seal, and then you tuck and you tuck. Make sure to try to make sure all of your filling is on that side, and that is how you roll the conky. I'll do it again for you if you didn't catch it the first time. This one is going to be a bigger one, so you can see how we have to handle the challenges. And if I do it perfect, then I wouldn't have to handle any challenges. But we go again. Same concept as before. This we're going to load up a lot more in here. All right, and there's one more spoon in here. All right, so you know that's what you want in a conky. That's what you want. Now, same concept apply. You hold, you pinch, and you fold. And if you haven't swinged your conkies pretty well, this part would feel like a challenge because it wouldn't have been elastic enough. But because we swings them long enough, that's how we do it. That's how we do it. There's your conky. And when we finish loading up all our conkies, that is when we cover the lid and let them do their magic. You know? Let them do the good. And we're getting to the end of our video. The end is near. So what we're going to be doing now is going to be showing you these lovely creations. Woo! That's it. Those are the conkies. I can now turn the stove off. All right, I can now turn the stove off. And it is at this time I should not only give them a chance to cool, but because I know you guys really want to see how these are looking, I'm going to take one up for you. One of the small ones. I said the small one's for you. Big one's for me. Only kidding. All right. So how we get to tell when these are done is usually you poke them. And if you ever eat a conky before, you know how it's supposed to feel. You know it has got a light firmness to it. And when you first put the batter in, when you touch it, it's going to be like just spreading and going anywhere. But you see, once you touch it and you get a little give back, you know it's all right. Now, as you can see, I was able to hold it and lift it out, which means it should be cooked. I'm going to give you a nice chance at the cross section. All right, I really should let this cool. Forgive me, but you know we don't like to wait when freshly finished. And just look at it. Look at it. Nice, even texture. Oh, that's it. That's what you've been waiting for. So now you know how to do conkies, and a lot more videos are going to be coming because of Spirit of the Nation. So everything independent relating when it comes to the culinary department, we will be showing you how to complete. Thank you. Good evening.